Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our weekly Thursday happy hour. We get together and we talk. Oh gosh, what do we talk about? Politics. You guys like me to go natural, so I think you guys missed seeing my Buddhist altar. So um, that is the altar. Hi, Chris. Hi, Kay. I was thinking of maybe starting with a song, while people filed in and found their way to the stream. I couldn't figure out what to sing you guys that you would all like to hear. There we go. Got to mute that. Hi, Joel Tilson. The F-16 jets. You're talking about the Senate. The Senate is voting to fund Ukraine and Israel. That's true. Well, that's good. Hi, Desiree Robato. Good to see you. Outcome of SCOTUS. It looks like SCOTUS is siding with Trump. Welcome, everybody. Please take a seat. No background. This is the real background, my Buddhist altar. People, I guess, wanted to see it. Maybe I'll just get rid of all of that. Go back to, I don't know, whatever you guys want. It's all the same to me. This land is your land. This land is my land from California. It's a hell of a long song, sweetie. Can you pick something? The Ukraine-Israel bill passed. Yeah. So then, of course, the House is falling apart over the border bill because it also contained funding. Is that correct, for Israel and for Ukraine? And now they're saying they don't want to fund that. So that is interesting. Yeah. Well, there's only 98 people here, but I think I think we're public. Or are we just subscribers? No, we're public. Excuse me. You guys want to do Central Maine? How's the weather? Have you guys seen the weather out of California? So basically, 90210, Beverly Hills 90210. Excuse me. Yeah, 90210 is no more, basically. I mean, we were talking about this. We can do the Empath prayer. I'm just going to wait till a few more people get here, but this is something that we can open up with. I was looking at the news, what I was going to talk to you folks about, and I thought, maybe we should talk about the end of Hollywood, right? I had said, you folks said, what's going to happen to the mega mansions? What's going to happen to the mega mansions? This is what's happening to the mega mansions. 300 mega mansions underwater. So the rock slides are pretty bad. Excuse me. So if you're looking at 90210, we're talking about some of the richest, we're talking about some of the richest property in the United States, right? We're talking about the hills, and the problem is that the hills are starting to slide. And so, as a result, Topanga Canyon is underwater right now. It's quite bad. So, what kind of Malibu. I always get those two mixed up. But not looking good. This is very expensive real estate. So you, excuse me, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? You know, I don't know. It's looking pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad. What would my feedback be about all of this? Wow. Just in terms of the amount of damage, if you're just talking about the amount of damage, you've got two things working against Los Angeles at the same exact time. Welcome, everybody. We're just talking about, predictions. When I went every time I would go forward into the future of Hollywood, I felt that Hollywood would go bankrupt. And that the mega mansions would cease to exist, that they would be relics they would be like the castles of Europe, places that no one goes to visit, or they can look, if it's a historical landmark, and you want to see where Buddy Hackett used to live. But the truth of the matter is, kids today don't know who these people are, and they don't care. So to maintain these homes is financially very difficult. And so people are rushing to sell them off. This is the first bad thing that we see that is happening to California. And then the other bad thing that we see happening to California, in addition to that, is we see that the work has left. So it isn't just that that global warming is destroying hundreds and hundreds of expensive homes, and we have these landslides that are taking out some of the nicest property in the United States is getting taken out. So then the question becomes, well, if environmentally the Hollywood Hills are going to be, are sliding. This is where people, the ladies of the canyon, right? These are the ladies of the canyon that Joni Mitchell sang about, right? The canyon homes. What was the problem with the canyon homes? The problem with the canyon homes was that these canyon homes are displacing wildlife, right? So you wind up with wildlife being displaced, and homes being built in areas where it's not stable anyway. And then the next question you have to ask yourself is, well, how much money are you willing to spend in order to maintain these impossible living conditions? And of course, it's just not it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable way to live. And does are people willing to pay to maintain this lifestyle? You can see the erosion happening here. This is happening all along the Pacific Highway too, the Pacific and the PCH. Have you guys gone to that area? Any of you that are in the Malibu area or going from Malibu to, it's just, I don't think that look, it's only February. That's not even, it's not even, we're just beginning with the rains. You see what I'm saying? So, traditionally, if you're talking about the heaviest times, it's not even now. So the concern people have is that it's going to get a lot worse. And I'm sorry I can't show you all the pictures, but yeah, it's really bad. So then the next conversation, hi, welcome everybody. We're talking about Hollywood. In case you guys got here late, we're talking about the fact that we predicted that Hollywood would be collapsing. What are the reasons that Hollywood as an industry is collapsing? Number one was lawsuits, right? Lawsuits on union jobs, right? People were doing Weinstein jobs, etc. So first came the lawsuits, then came COVID, right? So COVID took them out. They had a limited number of films that they could produce because of COVID, right? Then came the strikes, right? And then came global warming. But the biggest hit of all is what? We talked about it a couple days ago, right? Streaming, social media platforms. Twitter is now putting out film. You can watch it on Twitter. People putting out their own films, independent artists, Patreon, YouTube. So what happens? You'd rather hang out with Whimsy, woohoo, right? I'm kind of a friend, right? Then be in watching some soulless, expensive movie where you really feel like you're not connecting to anybody, right? So I just don't see it. I think it's going to be very hard for Hollywood to save itself. I really do. All right, let's go ahead and turn the camera around and give it up to all of you people. I think a lot of people have shown up. Looks like we have 225 people here. Give gratitude to the amazing Joel Tilson. He is the floor director. He'll be making sure that everyone's questions are being asked. Hi to Kay Travel to Row, very close friend of mine. She just had bunnies, so we wish a congratulations to the mommy and the bunnies. I'm scared my cat will eat one of them, unfortunately. Hi, Chris Crowdis. Great to see you here. Thank you for your membership. Desiree Robato, thank you for helping today. Elizabeth M., thank you for your membership. We will absolutely do blitzes. I think we'll do the Empath's prayer before. It passed without the border deal. That's so weird to me because it was the border deal that was so strict that they were pushing for, because what, they want it to remain an argument in the 2024 election? Is that what this is about? If we give them what they want, then what's gonna be on the table? I mean, bizarre. All right, if you know the prayer, please join us. Empath's prayer is for everybody. It belongs to everybody. Feel free to use it or modify it for your own use. But let's come together. Let's do the community prayer. If you don't believe in God, you're just sending out good vibes. Either way works. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Thank you for joining me in prayer. I wanted to also give gratitude and a shout out to Don Daniels. Don Daniels, he will be with us at the end of February. We will be speaking with him on Taco Tuesdays at 6 p.m. The last Tuesday of February. I believe that will be the 27th of February. And we will be talking about his book, Evolution Through Contact. Evolution Through Contact. So, there we go. Now you can see it. If you are a writer, if you're a writer and you would like to be part of our Book of the Month Club, an independent writer that'd like to be discovered, please send your book to 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon 97201. And then we will include you in our monthly Book of the Month Club. So for the month of February, we are reading Don Daniels. Who knows? For the month of March, you could be our next author. Okay, so we've done the Empath prayer. Is the book available ebook? I think it will be. Yeah. So that was basically the first hit I got when I did my meditation this morning. I meditate in the morning and the evening. And then if any thoughts come to me, and then I chant and I do my remotes. But I was reminded as I was reading the news today of the fact that every time I followed the energy for Hollywood, it self-destructed. Do you guys think that the reason that Hollywood self-destructs is because they're in violation of so many natural laws? And if so, do you guys want to talk about what those natural laws are? I don't remember one. That the universe has innate natural laws and orders that we must adhere to. It's talked about in the Art of War. It's talked about in the Tao. Talked a lot about in the Torah. It's this idea of respect, believe it or not. You know, respect and not respect is even more important than love. You know, if you look at the Torah, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, how easily people can be offended. If somebody's sense of self or their sense of self-worth has been diminished, right? Because of your actions. If your actions diminish, if they diminish the other person. So Hannah Arendt would say the anatomy of evil, in order to engage in an act of evil, Hannah Arendt would say that you have to make the object or the person that you are trying to make out to be evil, they cannot be human. Right? So you have to dehumanize your target. So one of the things that we've seen in politics today is that it's dehumanizing. One of the things that we've seen on Twitter and social media is this desire to dehumanize the other person. And that goes against the natural order. So, what do you do in a situation where someone's engaging in dialogue with you where it's one thing to give you, I'm not saying don't be open to healthy feedback. I'm not talking about somebody saying, hey, I think you can do this better. Well, I refuse to listen to you. No, I'm not. Don't be I'm talking about hostile, belligerent behavior from other people where it's clear that they don't respect you. What is your obligation to the other person ethically? You follow through the work to the best of your ability. I mean, if you have to quit, you have to quit. But if the other person engages in behavior that's disrespectful, what they're doing is they're making you subhuman. And at that point, it becomes easier to abuse you because they don't see you as fully human. So, to the best of your ability, you must demand to be seen and respected as a fellow human being. Right? And that sometimes means that we have to let certain people go. To some extent, Hollywood is kind of a hard lesson in that, right? Because it was all about trying to make people perfect, which is impossible because even the most beautiful peacock is not perfect, right? So, isn't that what the Kiffness say? You guys know this latest Kiffness? So that was part of what went wrong with Hollywood, was that they created a reality that was impossible. Nobody could live up to it. And so people wound up, a lot of Americans, a lot of people on this treadmill. You certainly saw the treadmill in Hollywood, where you could never be thin enough, you could never be perfect enough, you could never be happy enough, you could never be, and in the end, what are people fighting for? What are people fighting for? They're fighting for the good life. And so then we have to ask ourselves, what is the good life? How much do you need in order to live the good life? it to the Kiffness. What do you think? Just get you up there moving. Get you up there moving. Yeah. So that's what happened to Hollywood, right? They forgot what was important in life. Being with people you love and care about. Have meaningful work, right? Have meaningful work. Injecting your lips so that you look like you got stung by a bee does not make you more attractive. Putting yourself under a knife to try and look, we all want to look good and sexy. Gosh knows I do. But it's easy when you're me. I mean, um, but let us not go crazy, people. Let us relax. Yes. So that is why I say that Hollywood is kaputzi, it's finished, it's sayonara, goodbye. It's, how many years can they continue to rescue the Hollywood Hills and Topanga Canyon, which is closed, and displacing animals and wildlife, and all for what? For what? So that you can be king of the hill? And it doesn't make you look good, not to the rest of the world, because we are the rest of the world, and we don't want to sit and watch Leonardo DiCaprio on his throne, or some other person who needs to have an 18-year-old model every five, or several. I mean, it's like watching other people's vanity doesn't do it for the rest of the world. You know what I mean? And excessive wealth. I mean, this is one thing I do like about the Royals, is that they tone it down. Tone it down. Don't rub stuff in the. I mean, like, be keep your be well kept. Keep yourself, looking good, but don't rub your success in the faces of other people. The other thing I always get when I go into the energy of Hollywood is police action, legal action, whether it's more producers being charged, more executive producers, but I see the police. Every time I go for people who just showed up, I'm sorry, we're doing the future of Hollywood and why I think Hollywood is dead. I should have pinned it, I'm sorry. It's the Thursday show, so we don't emphasize politics as much. But it is political at the same time. Wouldn't you agree, Joel? Wouldn't you agree? I think Debbie Brady's here as well. Maybe she took off. I saw her earlier. That it does have a political component, which is that you can't keep treating employees like this, right? So it's interesting. You go into the energy and it's King of Swords, and King of Swords is like police. It's like the police. Now they're talking about the fact that major studios are going belly up because they're not producing it. The way that they are producing films is too expensive. And it's not that expensive anymore to produce films. It's not that expensive. You can do it with an iPhone, right? So what has happened is that it's obsolete. The only thing you could do is you could take Warner Brothers' lot and start, which they're already doing, but try renting out as much as possible to independent or other companies so that you don't go bankrupt. But it's very likely that major studios are obsolete because anybody can make a film now. But you have this police action, man. I'm telling you, expect to see more prosecutions. Interesting also, King of Wands is moving into Karma card over Hollywood, and that's interesting too, because that is the entrepreneur, and that's new beginnings. It could be small businesses or new ideas. It's just not feasible to make these types of films anymore. Look at this. Hollywood is completely lost. Seven of Cups. They have. So if you're talking about the future of film, there's a feeling like they're going into the great unknown, but they don't know what the great unknown is. I think that Amazon, uh, Elon Musk, Amazon, and is it Facebook? The ones where they're doing the virtual realities where you're inside the movie and you're experiencing it. I think that that's the future of film. It's virtual reality. But which is also scary because if the future is that you are in the film and you literally are there all day long traipsing through the English countryside or whatever in the middle of a simulation, why would you do anything else? Right? So you have this initial kind of, oh my God, we can't keep up, we can't pay the bills. Our McMansions, 300 McMansions, 90210 underwater. Goodbye. So they're saying that like 90210, if you move to that address, it's now a swamp. So that's the joke about the address 90210. You mean the swamp with the 300 mansions that are underwater? Not good, right? Not good. You have this kind of intellectual energy coming over Hollywood too. So how can we fix it? How can we fix it? People want new technology, right? You see what's going on. You guys know I was in Japan last year, and I had a great time. And what young people want is they want technology. They want to go into the virtual world. They don't want to just watch the world happening. They want to be in the world itself. And I think it's an exciting time for filmmakers. Huge turnaround in the next 6 months. They're leaving the old foundation. It's like black and white film versus color. Nobody wants to do black and white because now they can do color. I have to turn my heat off. It's getting hot. So you have this kind of new technology coming in. What do you guys think? Would you be willing to do that? Would you like to enter into other worlds? Because I would totally do that. Hold on, let me turn the temperature down. It's too hot. Well, it's like that Black Mirror, where in hospice you can just go offline and go into these virtual worlds. And now they have Neuralink. So the computer, your thoughts will get the computer or the Android to do certain things based on your thoughts. And the first thing that Neuralink developed is called telepathy, which I think is really cool. I would love to experience it, but I would also like to take it off because it would become like a drug, wouldn't it? Where you can literally go anywhere. Bing! You can like be in some beautiful whatever world, and why leave, right? So we are seeing an end of the old way of doing things. Success with new entrepreneurship in Hollywood. The world of film is becoming smaller too, and I think that's something we're seeing like in Netflix. We're seeing more world film, more world TV. People who have never watched foreign film or foreign TV before are now getting introduced to it. So I think that's kind of cool too. So you have this kind of, the world is demanding to be seen. So if we're watching, the films coming out of Sweden, or the films that are coming out of great films that are coming out of Canada, right? It means we're not watching what they're doing. Truth is coming out over Hollywood. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's pedophilia or more crimes. I know more children coming forward talking about more adults about abuse, but I'm telling you, Sword of Truth, and with this King of Swords over Hollywood, I don't know, folks. I have a feeling like there's going to be some more high profile prosecutions coming out. Look at this. There's going to be settlements in the future, too. Yeah, watching birds and squirrels. Oh, you know, I think the artists will survive. Ultimately, you want to do what's best for the actors. And, actors are not rich, famous people like Tom Cruise. Most actors are just creative, artsy people that come out there and they wind up being damaged. But yeah, so that's why I had said 10 years, and that was in 2018, and so we're now 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 26 years. What have they got? 4 years? And now they're talking about Disney being in trouble, but the big trouble is with Warner Brothers and some of these. They just they can't compete, and it's just too expensive. I mean, you look if you've ever been on any Hollywood lot, it's a lot of space. It's a lot of space. It's a lot of employees, uh, and it's just not how films are made anymore. We don't need this much stuff to make a film. An iPhone and a good zoom lens. People have made films that way. So what do we? So the other thing you see is it's not just that crime and everything else takes them out. It's also just the fact that the technology. Well, if think about a virtual world. So if we're talking about a virtual world, where would the virtual world be made? Right? If people want to see virtual world films, then computers, right? So again, it becomes an obsolete way of making films. It's kind of a shame because I definitely have romantic ideas about the old way that people were making films. And people have also predicted that the Me Too movement, and now we're going to see that, this is starting to happen with music industry as well. Music is collapsing now, and rightly so, because the artists got really messed up over that. Okay, so the next thing that would be just the feedback that I would give about Hollywood, the feedback I would give about the Pineapple Express. Remember, this is early February, and the rainy season is April, May. So it's bad, folks. This is not boding well. It's not looking good, right? So, can they afford this? That's the bottom line. Can they afford 2, 3 more years of this? Because again, they got hit by everything. They got hit by lawsuits. They got hit by COVID. They got hit by competition from streaming and new technologies where you simply don't make films that way anymore. And now natural disasters, global warming. So there's no reason to live in LA. This is something else where I don't always agree with Elon Musk, right? But I'm interested in what he has to say, right? So he's concerned that the population is dropping, and what are we going to do? The population is dropping, and it's going to be, we don't have workers. But my question to him, and he may have the answer, is what does it matter when the jobs are gone? An example would be becoming a journalist. So many people want to be journalists, but 100,000 journalists are out of work because all you have to do is punch in the facts, and then Grok will write the article for you. So what happens is that all these jobs, because of AI, and computers, a lot of jobs are being eliminated. So I'm curious, like, yes, we have a drop in the population, but we also have a drop in the number of jobs that are needed. I mean, now they're talking about computerizing lawyers, which, to be honest with you, doesn't sound like a bad idea because the computer would know the law and be able to argue it probably better than a person. So in the end, what the heck are we going to be doing? We're not doing the writing. I mean, we could be doing the writing, but it just, yeah, I mean, you really are feeling like things have changed. Now, the next thing you folks wanted to talk about had to do with the fact that there was an announcement today that China is definitely economically collapsing. Now, a couple years ago, I said a couple years, yay. Well, I don't know why I'm saying yay. This is horrible, right? This is horrible. $500 billion lost in their stock market. This is just recently. Their main real estate people have gone belly up, which means that everybody is in China is belly up. Everybody who had a mortgage, everybody. So Xi's response to this was to start hiding published information about China's economy. Of course, the question I have for all of you is, do you think that this is going to have a global consequence? And if so, what is the global consequence? It's a $13 trillion market that could be collapsing. What is the global implications of this? Local governments, he cannot control local governments. What did I say, those of you who've been here since 2018? What did we say about local governments and Xi and his attempts to control power in a collapsing China? Anybody remember? Is he going to be able to control local politics? Xi. So if they're in a financial crisis and if the main real estate people who gave the loans went belly up, which means that everybody is belly up who bought real estate, if all the housing has stopped being made, if they're talking about their stock market crashing, 500 billion loss, $13 trillion standstill in their market, what's the consequences of this? Do we bail him out? Do we not bail him out? What's the significance of the fact that he can't control local governments, whether it's in Tibet or wherever? It makes me think that he's going to have to give more independence to the states, right? Because if you can't control this type of, if you can't control this kind of centralized government, then you're going to have to start giving up control in some areas. That's what I predicted. I predicted that this was going to happen and that he's going to have these global dominion fantasies have come to an end. Look, it was great when we were buying cheap Chinese stuff and we were doing business in China, let the good times roll, and then they were taking a portion of that money and they were putting it into expanding roads and infrastructure. But we clearly have a problem here. Judgment is coming over China. Also, the other thing is that China did not fulfill all of their contracts and commitments to Europe, which is another reason they could be potentially in trouble. Right? So, Six of Pentacles, aid to China. People really got messed up. This is one of the reasons why people want to leave China, and many Chinese people are taking their money. They're attempting to move to the United States. We have a really serious real estate problem right in the United States because we have what, 1 million new refugees and not enough housing. But you can see here also over China, 10 of Swords, people really got screwed over with their lending. Other than arresting the bankers, what can he do? Power over the situation is with Xi. A new beginning. I think the government is taking over the bank. Yeah. You have some government control over the banks. You know, he could be arguing that capitalism didn't work, that giving this kind of independence to people didn't work. There's the crash. Strong Queen of Wands, territory card moving in. Legal actions. Look at this, taking control of the situation in the 4th house, and he will attempt to bail people out. Look at that. He's very concerned that we are going with contracts with other countries because they have it more together than he does. And that's his problem with Taiwan. Because you see this look, they're collapsing. Look at their opposition. The economy is transformed, which leads me to think that Taiwan is doing well. Hopes and fears, yeah, defending their territory. And then the final outcome over China, I see more incarcerations, more jails, and this is like a lockdown. So I think she will attempt initially to try and concentrate his power to deal with this. The world has to have a serious conversation about this, but if it continues, China could be downgraded as an economic power. So it's, you know, just like Russia got kicked out of the G8, it became the G7. We're seeing some kind of an economic response here, a global economic response to this. And boy, look at this, jail. I think there has to be. I think there has to be some kind of global response to the fact that China is collapsing. And I think that I don't see them attacking the West. I see them horrified that the West is getting stronger. And the reason, COVID, they did it to themselves. They also stole patents. They would, you know, there was a lot of things that happened. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you here. But to see that world card coming in has me a little nervous. Okay, so the next thing you guys wanted to talk about, even though I don't because everybody's talking about it, has to do with Trump and the Supreme Court. I didn't want to waste any time on this because I feel like we've talked about it ad nauseum, but it looks like the Supreme Court is actually saying they seem to be defending Trump, which surprises me because I didn't think he was going to make it onto the ballot. But let's take a look. All right, the Supreme Court and Trump. So the question I have is, how can they interfere with a state decision in the case of Colorado? And they're arguing that they can because it's a federal election. So that is weird, though. Well, can a state obstruct a federal election? You know, if it was just a state's right that involved a state, but this is a federal election, and that's where the problem, I think, is coming in. But you have this conflict in the courts. You also have a 2 of Cups ruling coming in. There's a karmic wheel here. Money. Six of Cups. Boy, I think Kavanaugh is going to rule in his favor. Here comes the courts. The argument that Roberts is making, based on what I can see here, is that we could be shooting ourselves in the foot because we're creating a precedent where we want to be able to take somebody off the ballot just because we don't like them. And has he been charged? Has he been found guilty? And if the answer is no, and if it's just that we don't like him, then that's not grounds to take him off the ballot. So that appears to be, you can't just say, I don't like this candidate, so I'm going to take him off the ballot. You have to show just cause. But I don't think any of this matters anyway, because I think Trump has no future. I mean, I think it's absurd. He has what? 20-something% support. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, even within the Republican Party, he's at what, 50-something%? It's pathetic. He used to be at like 80-something%. So, fine. Let him be their candidate. He'll be slaughtered in a national election. Let me check one more time, but I don't think so. I think that the people with money want Nikki Haley. I mean, anybody who's looked at anything that's been put out by Fox News, it's, Nikki Haley. What is the world going to be like without Trump? Well, a lot less comedy. A lot less comedy. That's what I'm thinking, Stephanie. It's going to be a lot less fun because, well, Trump gave us a lot of comedy, and then I got to meet you all, right? Conflict. Queen of Cups, harmony. The people have abandoned Trump. People want unity. This is a unity card. Go back to respect, which is what we had talked about in the opening today, which is that we can agree to disagree, but the relationship is over when the respect is gone. So you always have to start a relationship with the utmost respect. And if you can't be shown the most I'm not talking about being hypersensitive. I'm talking about when people really show you very clearly they don't respect you. As far as I'm concerned, there's no need to continue to have a relationship. If you can avoid a relationship with people that don't respect you, that would be a good thing. But with Trump, it just feels to me like it's a lack of respect. Like Five of Pentacles is a poverty card. It's poverty. It's a lack of faith. It's the jobs market is getting much better in the next couple months. I wonder why that is. Yeah, I don't see Trump having a future. I really think he's going to be taken out financially. His mental health is a disaster. I think the only reason for him to run is to try and raise money. It all gets taken up in legal fees. What did they say? What was his legal fees? $100 million or something? It was some insane amount since he had. I mean, like nobody. Oh, hi, 1111. Great to see you. Who would want to take that on? So, do I think that the courts might allow him back on the ballot? Well, there's a fear of incarceration there. So who cares? Because he's got conflict and incarceration over him. The police. Honey, I just feel like it's over for him. So none of this matters. His mental health is completely deteriorated. He owes something like what, $600 million with it, over $600 million. The 500 and what is it going to be, something like 540 million to New York for fraud, 85 million to E. Jean Carroll. Then he's got multiple suits on top of that. I mean, he's facing 91 counts. So it goes back also to what Conway said, Kellyanne's husband. There's no way out of this. The guy's going to prison. So then the conversation becomes not is he going to prison, but what kind of prison is he going to? I think it increasingly looks like some kind of senior psych place. I mean, they did say he raised some money, but it's not, I mean, come on. Half a trillion, more than half a trillion. Come on. To put him where? I mean, his health is terrible. You know, you eat that many McDonald's hamburgers, you can't expect to get yeah, he gets abandoned. Look at that. People just are abandoning him. That's what it feels like. Like Nikki Haley. Look at this. I feel like he does have an addiction challenge. The thing is now coming out about the addictions. Ace of Wands. He could do very well in the elections, but I see incarceration. Here it is again. Look, heartbreak and incarceration. His opposition, the people leave him. They move on. The people move on. Regarding his addictions, he's got an addiction here, and he has some. Oh, is that what he uses his bodyguard for, to get him drugs? Something. The bodyguard who went to England and brought back the Adderall or whatever it was. It was a British version. There's some guy here associated. You know, I got that also with Putin, that Putin had a drug problem, and I got other people I won't mention, but drug problems, and then they have suppliers, like Prigozhin was one of his suppliers, and he takes out his supplier. Look at this, defends his territory. No, I think Trump's going to prison. Well, what do you do when you owe over $600 million? They're going to take everything, and then I think it's going to come. Then I think it's going to come out that he doesn't own a Mar-a-Lago, right? He owns Mar-a-Lago with, from what I saw, 5 other people. You have silent partners. So if all he can do is sell his portion, oh my God, what a mess. And the same with I don't even think he has it. He doesn't even have enough money. I mean, look at that apartment that he lied about. Even if he sells that, this guy doesn't have enough money. Even if he pays, nobody goes to Durango. All these clubs are money pits. Because remember when I did a remote view for you guys a couple years ago, and you said, and I said, these places are money pits. It's cost him a ton of money to keep these places open. He has to make money to keep these places open, because they're money pits. Everything, he just opens one money pit after another, and then it goes bankrupt. And it's just, so yeah. Incarceration and heartbreak. Okay, the last thing you guys wanted to you guys still want to talk about King Charles III and the fact that Harry left. Harry was gone. Harry went to see him. He only saw him for 30 minutes. Okay, so that's true. William was seen swaying back and forth. He looked to be inebriated yesterday. He was back at duty, but he appeared drunk. and was swaying back and forth. There's now a rumor that William has a serious drinking problem, and that they were trying to get ahead of the story by saying 1 pint Willie, but now it's starting to come out that he has a problem. And so, yeah, he appeared to be swaying and inebriated yesterday during some ceremony that he went to. In terms of just energy, as King Charles, he has a lot on his plate. He just found out he has cancer. He just found out he needs radiation. He's just come out of surgery. He's an emotional wreck. So when you have all of that on your plate and it's happening publicly, do you have anything left emotionally to be focusing on your son? So how I felt as King Charles III meeting with Harry was, I felt very emotionally upset by it. And I felt like I didn't have the emotional wherewithal to deal with it. That's how I felt. Like I just had, not that I didn't love my son, it's just more stuff to be upset about. And I've already got a lot of stuff to be upset about. So then I found myself wanting to retreat into comfort as King Charles. I wanted to be with Camilla and to be comforted, and my dog on the bed. I guess he must have a dog. And just to retreat to comfort and safety. Because when he's around Harry, it's very emotional for him. I felt like it was a very emotional thing. Not that he doesn't love Harry and doesn't want Harry to come back. It just was a very emotional thing. I also felt like the drinking from William was becoming increasingly obvious and he has to address it. He can't continue to ignore it, particularly when he sees Kate's physical and mental health. And I think for that reason, he will grant them the right to divorce. It's unfortunate, but the reason that William is doing this and acting out and drinking is because he feels like he is in a prison. He didn't get to go to, he can never put his life at risk. So he can never have the experiences of other people, right? Kind of like Queen Victoria, she had to be held when she walked down a flight of stairs unless she, God forbid, tripped and fell. So yes, he can live this exciting life. Prince William, he gets to fly in helicopters and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, there's always a ton of security and concerns about him. And so for that reason, he didn't get to go to the North Pole. He didn't get to go to the South Pole. He didn't get to do a lot of things. So there's still that jealousy and resentment of Prince Harry. I felt that there would be communication between King Charles and Meghan, Archie, Lilibet, and Harry via Zoom, that they would start seeing each other and communicating while he was in bed. And I do think he's going to grant them a divorce. William and Kate. It's unfortunate, but when you go into this, he doesn't want to, but if Kate is depressed and miserable, and if this continues, yes. If it doesn't improve and the drinking being as out of hand as it is, well, now it's starting to leak that his handlers, but people knew this about him, that he'd been drinking since he was very young. He's been seen getting drunk and drinking. Well, we can take a look. I guess we'll close with that since that was the last of the questions you guys had. But yeah, what do you do when you feel trapped? You want everybody else as miserable as you are, right? He wants everyone as miserable as he is. And he wants everybody to know that he's in jail. And so I think that was why he really hated Meghan, because she was so in love and happy. And that was so not how he felt. He felt trapped and miserable, and he was letting Kate know he was trapped and miserable. Now she's trapped and miserable. It's that kind of an energy. And so he drinks and he acts out to get away from this feeling of being completely, that there is no escape. Well, the only escape is that he becomes king. Because when he is king, then he'll be, for the first time in his life, he'll be able to decide what he wears, right? It won't be the, excuse me, the queen or somebody else. Just this real anger, like he wants control. Yeah, it just feels like, excuse me, a stubborn need for control. He has made other people feel afraid, like they are in jail when he is around. You see what I mean? This is how other people feel around him. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Sophie's Choice, where Diana had to make a choice. This child she sacrificed. She sacrifices William to the crown, and then she gets to keep Harry. So that's why her and Harry have this bond. And then William is cast out to go be something else. And so for that reason, he is the royal prisoner, you know, that obsession he had about the prisoners that are trapped in the, excuse me, something's setting me off. The prisoners in the cage, etc., the dungeon. This imagery fascinated him growing up because it's really symbolic of William's life, which is he is truly caged and he knows it. But blaming everyone else, like his wife, making his, he's become the angry drunk that wants everybody else in the house to be as in jail as he is. And at this point, there has to be an intervention. Yeah, that's what I see. Oy, what can you do? All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can check the information below. Thank you for hanging with me on this Thursday. Hope we got to everybody's questions. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. We'll see you next time, everyone.